So, after reading Dr. Hare's book, I have determined I am a psychopath. Yay! Okay, all jokes aside, now, am I a psychopath? I don't know. Might be the autism. We're just gonna assume it's the autism. But, so, I read Without Conscious, Conscious, The Disturbing World of Psychopaths Among Us by Dr. Robert D. Hare. And here's the cover right here. It was definitely an interesting book. I'll say this was a research project for me. I'm writing my second project for a novel, and I needed to know about psychopaths. So, or at least determine if one of my characters, is a psychopath or not. And I think he isn't. We'll talk about that when that book starts getting finished and I gotta start planning on publishing it. But yeah, this book was interesting. It covers all ranges. It covers how to identify one, how traits of the psychopathic mentality, for example, lying, having no boundaries, a flair for just doing whatever you want. Like, for example, maybe some guy that has psychopathic tendencies is walking down the street and just thinks to himself, you know what? That McDonald's right there is a good place to rob. Let me go do it. And then he just goes and does it. Not even, no planning, no, will this get me in jail? Nope, just goes and does it. Now, pretty interesting. We'll discuss about the book is in the next section of the video. But real quick, to defend myself about the psychopath joke at the beginning of the video, I do feel, or I do think, most authors, specifically nonfiction or specifically fiction writers, might have a little bit of insanity in them. You know, if you think about it, all a fiction writer is a very, very good liar. I'm able to convince you the story you're reading is real. I done a good job. I lied to you perfectly. But that said, let's go ahead and discuss this book a little bit more. Okay, so written by psychologist. Here we go again. Written by psychologist Dr. Hare, a Canadian psychologist who specializes in psychopaths, writes in his book a lot of interesting things. First off, cut this silence, man. I'm just trying to think of words. Okay. He goes from telling us about how he and his students interview psychopaths in prison, talks about their personality and how they lie, they abuse, they use. The only thing about themselves, they're very self-conscious of what they want. Have a hard time emphasizing, is the word, um, empathy for others, which is why Hare hurt people so much. He talks about child psychopaths late in the book. For example, he talked about two children in particular that made me go, oh, man, if I have kids, I hope they ain't psychopaths. For example, one was, both attempted to kill their siblings, their younger siblings, when they were only like 9 or 8 years old. But he also talks about how it's not really the parents' fault for how a psychopath could be, or for that matter, if someone becomes a psychopath, or because it really is kind of a personality disorder. Not so much a disease, as he says, not something you could really cure, but really something that a person has to live with if they are diagnosed with it. And what else? What else? What else? He also talks about surviving one and how you should survive one. Under Really understand that they're not really going to be cured. You could do your best to try to cure them, but in the end, as he says, anyways, I understand this is really not my, well, as he says, and this is kind of my view of what he said. I'm not a psychiatrist myself, psychologist, more of a history nerd, but I would say let's go ahead and discuss how I feel about this book in the next part. Okay, so what did I think of this book? First off, unless it's a subject matter you're interested in, if you like true crime or psychological stories, psychological aspects, this is an interesting book for you. Like I said, I read it for research for a novel I'm writing, and I figured it would come in handy in later novels as well. But I don't know if I'd recommend this to a layman. I know I could recommend a better book if you really want someone to research about how to handle psychopaths or people that are dangerous mentally. This book is more of a well, I guess I could say the name of that book. That book is called Dangerous Personalities by Joe Navarro, who was a FBI profiler. I'd say his book is a little bit better, but understand, I'm not saying better in terms of writing. I'm saying better in terms of really diving into the different psychologies of or different traits of a dangerous person. I forget them all. There's 4 of them that he talks about, but I would say yes, read this if you're interested in it, but I didn't really find it the most appealing book to read. Not in terms of like, ew, gross, or like, this book is too serious for me. No, not what I mean. But like, it gets a little boring in some places, and sometimes you just gotta force yourself through it. So for example, he'll go on for a while about cases and, well, not cases. He'll go on about the diagnosis, but then he will leave individual cases really out of it for maybe a couple pages or so. And then the individual cases and scenarios do come in, and that's very where the book shines. But yeah, I'd say read this if you're interested, but don't force yourself if you don't want to. And it is a 1993 book, so whatever it says is probably outdated, probably from research and the like. Who knows, maybe he does have an updated book that would be more interesting to read. This was just, I think I looked up psychopathic books about psychopaths, and this popped up as an option, as a suggestion. So, I gave this book 4 stars on Goodreads, and I'm going to stick with that 4 stars. It was a little boring. I took a lot of notes from it. I think like 40 notes. The writing was good. I had a few questions about some grammar usage, but my grammar isn't always the best myself, so I'm not going to judge someone that badly. Rarely I'll take a star off unless it's really, really apparently bad. So yeah, 4 stars. And if you want to check it out because you're interested in psychopaths, you're interested in true crime, go ahead and do so. But if you're more just a what's the word? Scrambled brain. That's really what I would say for myself. But for a reader that just kind of reads for fun, doesn't really put a lot of effort into reading nonfiction books that go in depth. So let's move on. So that was my book review for Without Conscience. Like I said, if you're interested in that, read it. If you're not, don't read it. That's up to you. I'm not going to force books on you. But if you're interested in reading my book, Black Monday, which comes out tomorrow, don't be afraid to do so. The link to the store will be in the description. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I recommend doing so because that's where I post updates and when I do promotions or free giveaways. So don't be afraid to do that. Also, follow me on Goodreads if you want to see what I'm reading, because I am always reading and I'm always adding to that list of finished books and list of started books. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, don't be afraid to leave a like and comment down below. And if you want to subscribe, don't be afraid to do so. If you've read this book before, let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you guys hopefully Friday. And I'll see you then, because I'm almost finished with Marine Sniper. I don't know about next week. Next week we might have a few dry spots where it comes to reviews, just because a few books I'm going to be starting reading this week might take me a few minutes to read. But despite that, anyways, enjoy life, be safe out there, and I will talk to you guys Friday. See you then. Also follow me on Twitter because I'll just talk to you guys any day if you want. Just say something. See you then. Bye bye.